Good morning students, I am Mosmi Prasad and creator of this channel Digital Generation. This channel is regarding chapter wise preparation for both ICSE and CBSE students. I hope you will get best explanation and knowledge from this channel. Today we are going to study nutrition in animals. Animals have heterotrophic mode of nutrition because they cannot manufacture their own food from the inorganic substances like carbon dioxide and sunlight. So they have heterotrophic mode of nutrition. They depends directly or indirectly on plants. Only an animal known as Euglena, it is a microscopic animal which has mixotrophic type of nutrition. It can perform autotrophic mode of nutrition as because it has chlorophyll and so can perform photosynthesis. Then it has autotrophic mode of nutrition, and sometimes it also performs heterotrophic mode of nutrition when it eats on microorganisms. So Euglena has mixotrophic mode of nutrition. Depending on the food habit, animals are broadly classified into three categories. First, herbivorous animals. Herbivorous animals are those animals which derive their foods directly from plants like goat, deer, grasshopper. They are all herbivore animal. Then comes carnivorous animal. Carnivorous animals are those animals which derive their food from the flesh of other animals by killing them like lion, tiger, hawk, fox, etc. Omnivorous animal shows more than one type of feeding habit. They derive food from the plants also, and also they derive food from the flesh of the animals like man and cockroaches. Now we will study about digestion in human beings. Human digestive system consists of alimentary canal and associated digestive gland. Alimentary canal consists of buccal cavity which starts from the mouth. The floor of the buccal cavity is the tongue. It consists of two jaws, upper jaws and lower jaws. Jaws consist of four types of teeth: incisors, canine, premolars and molars. And then buccal cavity consists of three pairs of salivary glands also. These salivary glands secrete saliva which contains an enzyme called ptyalin or salivary amylase which helps in digestion of carbohydrate. Salivary glands are of three types. One is sublingual. Sublingual is found below the tongue. Then comes submandibular. Submandibular salivary gland is found at the lower jaw. And then parotid. Parotid is found at the angle of the jaw. So there are three pairs of salivary gland. This buccal cavity opens into a funnel shaped pharynx. Pharynx consists of two tubes posteriorly. One tube is called trachea which leads to lungs and helps in respiration, and another tube is called esophagus which leads to stomach. Esophagus has no digestive enzymes and so no digestion takes place in esophagus. It is just muscular and helps in movement of the food in a wave-like rhythmic movement which is known as peristalsis movement. In stomach, it is a J-shaped organ and it is on the left side of the abdomen. Inner layer of the stomach is known as mucosa. Mucosa consists of many types of digestive gland, and the secretion of the digestive gland is known as gastric juice. So mucosa secretes two types of enzymes called pepsin and renin. They act on protein, and it also secretes hydrochloric acids which helps the food to become acidic, and also secretes mucus. Mucus is viscous jelly-like substance which is found in the stomach and protects stomach from the effect of acid and any other harmful chemicals. Below the stomach is found pancreas. Pancreas is called exocrine as well as endocrine gland. It is called endocrine gland because it secretes two hormones like insulin and glucagon which helps in maintaining the blood sugar level in the body. It is called exocrine gland because it secretes three types of enzymes. Pancreatic juice secretes three types of enzymes. They are trypsin, chymotrypsin and beta amylase. These three enzymes acts on alkaline medium. Trypsin and chymotrypsin acts on protein and beta amylase acts on carbohydrate or starch. But in stomach, these enzymes pepsin and renin acts on acidic medium because stomach also produce hydrochloric acid. So now the enzymes which are produced in pancreas is poured into the duodenum. From here begins the small intestine. Small intestine consists of three parts: duodenum, jejunum and ileum. Duodenum is U-shaped part. Here hepatic duct and pancreatic duct combines together and forms a common duct known as hepatopancreatic duct. This is the common duct, hepatopancreatic duct. It is a common duct of hepatic duct which brings the bile juice and pancreatic duct which brings the pancreatic enzymes, and it opens into the duodenum. In duodenum, partial digestion takes place of all carbohydrate, proteins and fats. From duodenum it goes to jejunum, then comes to ileum. Ileum is the longest part of the alimentary canal. The whole alimentary canal is about 9 meters long in human beings, and small intestine is the longest part. It is called small intestine because it has very small diameter. Small intestine opens into large intestine, and the part where it opens is called cecum. Large intestine is called large intestine because the diameter of large intestine is bigger than that of small intestine, but in length large intestine is smaller than small intestine. The cecum is a pouch like part which leads to colon. Colon has three parts: ascending colon which is going up, this is called transverse colon, and this is descending colon, and then colon ends in rectum, and rectum to anus, from where undigested food is ejected. Associated digestive gland. Liver. Liver is the largest gland of our body. It is present on the upper side of the abdomen, upper right side of the abdomen, just right to stomach. Liver secretes bile which contains bile pigments and bile salts. Bile juice does not contain any enzyme, but it makes the food alkaline and helps in emulsification of fat. Bile which is secreted by liver is stored in gallbladder, and this bile is poured into duodenum via common duct. Now, second largest gland is pancreas. Pancreas is exocrine gland as well as endocrine gland. Pancreas is endocrine gland because it contains two hormones, insulin and glucagon, which helps in maintaining blood sugar level in our body. And pancreas is also known as exocrine gland because it contains enzymes such as trypsin, chymotrypsin and beta amylase. These enzymes act in alkaline medium. So bile which is poured into duodenum acts on alkaline medium. Pancreas is situated just below stomach on the left side. So pancreatic juice is also poured into duodenum via common duct. So the duct from liver which is known as hepatic duct and the duct from pancreas combine together to form a common duct. This common duct opens into duodenum of the small intestine. This common duct is also known as hepatopancreatic duct because it comes from liver as well as from pancreas. So it is a common duct and is also known as hepatopancreatic duct. Salivary glands are present in mouth which contains three pairs of glands: sublingual gland which is present below the tongue, submandibular which is present near the lower jaw, and parotid gland which is present at the angle of the lower jaw. So three pairs of salivary glands are also present in our digestive system. Now we will study mechanism of digestion. The digestion means conversion of large and complex food particles into small and simplified forms. Digestion takes place inside the alimentary canal. This involves three processes. First, ingestion, which means intake of food. Then comes assimilation, which means digestion and absorption of food. Then comes egestion. Egestion means elimination of food. Now when we intake food in our mouth, food consists of carbohydrate, proteins, fats, minerals, vitamins and waters. Vitamins, minerals and water are absorbed directly by the intestine. Only digestion of carbohydrate, protein and fat is needed. Intake food we chew and masticate with teeth and tongue. It gets mixes with the saliva, and saliva contains an enzyme called ptyalin or salivary amylase. This enzyme reacts on starch and convert it into maltose, that is disaccharide. Polysaccharide, starch is polysaccharide, polysaccharide is converted into disaccharide maltose. So digestion of carbohydrate starts from mouth. It is sometimes asked why a chapati when we chew it tastes sweeter, because chapati is polysaccharide. In the mouth it is mixed with saliva which contains ptyalin enzyme and is converted into maltose, so it tastes sweet in our mouth. Then from mouth the food goes into esophagus. There is no digestion as it contains no enzymes. Now the food reaches to stomach. In stomach it contains hydrochloric acid and it also secretes enzymes like pepsin and renin. So the food which reaches the stomach become acidic in nature as due to the presence of hydrochloric acid secreted by the mucus wall of the stomach. Then this acidic medium of food is acted upon by two types of enzyme called pepsin and renin. Pepsin acts on protein and breaks it into proteases and peptones. Protein is broken down in stomach into proteases and peptones. This takes place by the enzyme pepsin present in stomach. Another type of enzyme is present in stomach known as renin. This renin enzyme acts on milk protein which is known as casein. So the complex protein are broken into proteases and peptones in stomach by the help of enzyme pepsin which acts in acidic medium. In stomach digestion of carbohydrate does not take place because in acidic medium carbohydrate digestion does not take place. So in stomach only protein digestion takes place. A little bit of gastric lipase is present which digests a little bit of fat, but main digestion of protein takes place in stomach. Now from stomach the food goes into small intestine. Small intestine has three parts. Duodenum. In duodenum what happens? The bile juice which is secreted by the liver reaches through hepatic duct, and pancreatic juice which comes from the pancreas joins together and forms common duct which is known as hepatopancreatic duct which opens into the duodenum. In duodenum what happens? This bile it makes the food alkaline because it contains bile juice. It is watery and alkaline solution. This makes the food alkaline and it also helps in emulsification of fat. Bile does not contain any enzyme. It only emulsifies fat and makes the medium alkaline. And the enzymes which are present in pancreas like trypsin, chymotrypsin and beta amylase also reaches the duodenum which acts on protein. Now protein which were in form of proteases and peptones, they are broken down into polypeptides by the enzyme trypsin and chymotrypsin. This trypsin and chymotrypsin enzyme acts on alkaline medium. So protein is now in the form of polypeptides, and the beta amylase which is present in duodenum which comes from pancreas, beta amylase converts remaining starch into maltose, and emulsification of fats takes place. What is emulsification of fats? Emulsification of fats means large molecules of fats are converted into small fat globules which is water soluble. The main function of bile juice is to make the medium alkaline, due to which the enzyme trypsin and chymotrypsin acts and it emulsifies fat. It converts large fat particles into small fat globules, and beta amylase acts and converts starch into maltose. Now from duodenum, the food reaches jejunum where no reaction takes place, and then from jejunum it reaches to ileum. So ileum is the most important part. Here complete digestion and also absorption of food takes place. So complete digestion means the food must be converted into the simplest form. The intestinal juices present in ileum converts maltose, which is disaccharide, to monosaccharide, glucose and fructose. This is carbohydrate digestion, which is completed from maltose to glucose and fructose, which is the simplest form of carbohydrate. And polypeptidase enzyme, which is present in intestinal juice, converts polypeptides into amino acid. Protein digestion is also completed. Amino acid is the simplest form of protein, and glucose and fructose is the simplest form of starch. And fat plus triglyceride, which were present, is acted upon by lipase enzyme, industrial lipase, of course, lipase enzyme, and is converted to fatty acid and glycerol, the simplest form of fat, fatty acid and glycerol. Now digestion is completed in ileum, and absorption of food is also taken in ileum. Ileum, that is a part of small intestine. Inner wall of the ileum contains small finger-like projection. This finger-like projection increases the absorption surface of the intestine, and it is highly vascular. This ileum, this finger-like projection are highly vascular, that is, they are richly supplied with blood vessels, so that the food which is digested is easily absorbed by the blood capillaries. Now food is digested. So digestion of carbohydrate, protein and fat is completed and is absorbed also in ileum and reaches to the blood capillaries. From small intestines, foods are easily absorbed by the presence of villi, which are finger-like projection present in the wall of the intestine. So after the digested food is absorbed, what happens to the undigested food? The undigested food from the small intestine is transferred to large intestine. In large intestine, what happens? Large intestine absorbs waters and minerals from the food and passes it to the rectum. Rectum is a pouch-like organ present at the lower side of the descending colon. This rectum contains feces, FAECES. From rectum, the undigested food which is not needed by our body is eliminated out of the body through anus. So our digestive system is completed at the end of the anus. The food which is eliminated out is called egestion. Now dental caries. I will teach you about dental caries. Tooth decay or formation of cavity is known as dental caries. Tooth decay is known as dental caries. What happens when we do not brush our teeth properly? Then some food particles remain between the gaps of the teeth and they are acted upon by bacteria, mainly the sugar containing food. They are acted upon by bacteria. Then these bacteria and food particles together forms the dental plaque. This dental plaque forms a black color structure on the teeth and prevents saliva from reaching the teeth. So what happens? This obstructs the saliva from reaching into the teeth. Acts on the enamel of the teeth. Thank you for watching my video, and if you find my video useful, please do like and share my video and subscribe my channel to get the latest update of my videos. If you have any doubt regarding this chapter, then comment below. I will try to reply as early as possible.